Hello, good afternoon, everybody. How are we all? I'm very aware that it is not 12 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock. So I'm a little bit late jumping onto Facebook Live, but I'm here. And I was kind of cobbling my notes together earlier, and I sort of realised that not overly much has happened this month in terms of social media changes. So what I'm going to do, rather than me spending loads of time writing down all the things to talk about, I'm going to literally go live during this live and look at what the news was and all the news that I picked up and bookmarked on my social media, and we can talk about it that way. So for anybody who is new, I know I've got a little bit ad hoc. Let's get the light back there. Sorry, I'm in Bristol, so I'm an entrepreneurial spark today. So I've used one of our mentors' rooms here in Bristol, lovely Bristol. You can see outside the window. And yeah, for anybody who's new to watching this, what I usually do each month is I go live right here on my Facebook page and I tell people the main updates to social media that have happened that month. So as we know, things change all the time. There are new things happening. One platform's in, one platform's out. Facebook ads are working, Facebook ads aren't, and for small businesses and micro biz owners, actually, it's actually really confusing and frustrating to stay on top of. So I've created a monthly Facebook Live that, rather than a newsletter for you all to read, is actually about me talking those changes through with you. So if you have any questions as we go, you are more than welcome to pop them into the comments below, or afterwards. If you have any questions afterwards, then do pop those in the comments and I will be more than happy to answer them. So that's my first question for you guys watching is, has there been anything that you've noticed? Has anything changed on your social media channels that you're using that you would like an answer to? Is something not working on Facebook, Twitter? Have you made any changes on LinkedIn? If you have a question, do write them in the comments and I will be sure to answer them. And of course, this week is Social Media Week in Bristol, so I hope everybody is having a fantastic time midway through this week. There are tons of events happening all over the city. I'm particularly going to one tomorrow, which is the Small Business Social Media Summit run by Enterprise Nation over at the Everyman Theatre on White Ladies Road. So I'm very excited about that. And I'll be tweeting lots of things and updates there. So keep an eye on my Twitter feed. Okay, let's have a look. In terms of main things that I've seen come up that's been interesting, one is Facebook's Messenger app for kids. So if you haven't seen this, and I'll post the links as I usually do in the comments below, Facebook have launched a version of their app, Messenger app on its own, for the 6 to 12-year-olds. It's only available in the US at the moment, but naturally these things kind of roll out to other countries. So it's called Messenger Kids. I know that there is a young person or a child version of YouTube anyway, and things like Snapchat, so it's not unknown. But obviously Facebook wants to try and re-engage with that younger community. So it's designed specifically for children between the ages of 6 to 12. It's packed with features just for kids, where they don't require a Facebook profile. So that's the main thing. They don't require a Facebook profile to access Messenger Kids, rather that this is controlled through their parents' social media account, which for me, I think I get a lot of questions from parents saying, how do I tell, my kid wants to go on social media, they're only 7 or 8, and that's the world that we live in, they're being influenced by that stuff all the time. What do I say to them? And I kind of say, it is a tough question to answer, but what you need to be doing is finding a child-friendly version of social media that they can use to satisfy that like curiosity, because there's no, the people, they're going to set it up anyway at some point in their lives, and unfortunately or fortunately for the world we live in, you can't hide the use of social media from young people and children. So doing your research on what apps are available for children, and then making sure that's monitored and controlled, I guess, as much as it can be by yourself as a parent. So which is why I like Messenger for Kids, how Facebook are doing this. It is specifically controlled through their parents, your social media account. And they don't have to have a profile in order to use it. So the app's reportedly been downloaded about 45,000 times since its launch, and already has approximately 20,000 daily users. But of course, there's going to be some, there is a bit of controversy to this. And this report from Immediate Future, for example, says more than 100 child development experts contributed to an open letter calling on Facebook to shut down the app, as it could undermine healthy development. But additionally, there have been suggestions that more than half of Facebook's 13-person advisory board for the app have some kind of financial tie to the company. So there is some controversy, but it's a preemptive solution to a situation that every parent is faced with at some time or another, or in this digital era. It is a way to say, okay, well, you can't have a Facebook profile, but here is an app for you to message that we control and see it. So that's quite interesting. The other thing that I picked up on that's quite interesting to note was about WhatsApp. So I kind of touched upon this last month about WhatsApp for Business officially launching on Android phones. So if you're like me with an iPhone, boo, because we can't use it at the moment. But Android are allowing you to, if you have an Android phone, you can download the WhatsApp for Business app. So much potential here for businesses, by the way, to have a more direct, streamlined messaging strategy and approach with their customers, which would fit in really, really well. Top tip here for businesses such as, I'm thinking mainly like leisure and hospitality and fitness particularly. So if you fit into that niche, those areas, and that's sparked your interest, drop me a message and we'll have a quick chat about why and how I think that you can be using WhatsApp successfully for your business. And my update this month really for WhatsApp was that like automated replies and AI, so you can provide instant answers to questions, to FAQs that people send through the app. So WhatsApp is definitely one to watch for this year, or one to consider integrating into your strategy as a business. So get on board with that. Hello, Beth. Hi, thanks for joining. I was just saying that I'm doing this on the fly today because I'm in East Park and it's really busy. So I'm in Bristol, you can see in the background. And there hasn't been overly much going on that's worth noting. I think last month was a seriously hectic month in terms of changes to social media, and this month's been a little bit quieter. The other thing to note is on Snapchat. Snapchat is now offering greater advertising tools for agencies and business owners directly within the app. So it's really starting to ramp up the opportunity to advertise and make money through the app. So particularly if you're using Snapchat to communicate with young people, then advertising on that channel is still ridiculously cheap compared to so many others. It's definitely not one to throw away. And despite all the criticism of Snapchat over recent weeks, I still do firmly believe that there is opportunity for it to be used as long as it's targeted and you have a plan as to how you're going to use it. So that's Snapchat, and again, I'll put these links into the comments below. Beth, it's a snowy day here. Oh, have you been snowed in? We can't get out. I'm hoping it doesn't come down to the west as bad as people are saying it might. Actually, you're not being very unproductive. You're being very productive by tuning into this Facebook Live. Okay, so that's a couple of things. Facebook. Have we seen any changes on Facebook this month? Nothing that I don't think I mentioned last month. Let's have a quick look on Social Media Examiner. Cool. So brilliant. So the Facebook is limiting notifications from active groups. So last month we talked a lot about the changes to the algorithms on Facebook and how businesses are going to see decline in reach on their content. They have changed the way they count statistics. So reach on Facebook pages is now actually the specific amount of people that have seen and scrolled past your post in the newsfeed, whereas before they would count the amount of times that post was in somebody's timeline, basically. So one was a very generic figure. The new figure of how they measure is an active statistic, so people have to physically see it in order for that to be counted as reach. But not only that, their algorithms are changing to really prioritize family and friends content, which means that business pages might find it difficult to get their stuff seen. But not only that, they've announced that Facebook is reducing clutter in notifications by limiting the number of alerts users receive from certain groups. So instead of getting notifications about every post shared within these groups, Facebook will now only send the relevant highlights. But it's probably worth noting that that can change. So if you are in a group that's fairly active and you're not getting most notifications, go into that group, click on the settings and select what you want to see. So if you are a community manager in any Facebook groups, that's worth bearing in mind and probably communicating out to your group members to let them know that this change is happening and therefore they need to manage notifications. And I'll put up a link to how you do that. Interestingly, actually, if you are a page owner on Facebook, are you considering using Facebook groups to kind of cut through that algorithm still? Let me know, because you really have to make sure it's value driven and not just setting it up for the sake of it. I was contacted today by a friend of mine and we've got a great idea for a collaborative Facebook group, but I sort of said to her that we need to make sure that there's value at it for the user. So let's do this, let's have a collaboration, but what are we giving to people? Why should they join? Beth is asking, is Twitter still worth using for work stuff? And how do I find what the popular hashtags are? Thanks, Beth. Lovely question. Yes, it is definitely still worth using for work stuff. The algorithms aren't as complicated as Facebook, so your content will be seen a lot more by people. You do have to create more content than you do on any other channel though, so that's worth bearing in mind. And if you haven't got the resources to create more content on Twitter, then be really targeted with where you spend that time. So local Twitter hours are really great. There's going to be some around your way, Suffolk, Lowestoft, Ipswich hour. There are also national industry-specific Twitter hours that you might want to take part in. So charity hour, social enterprise hour, ethical hour on a Monday, all that stuff. Now, how do you find what popular the hashtags are? There's a few ways. And when you open up Twitter on the app, it will have under moments. Let me see if I can bid it up here, bring it up. So when you open up Twitter, you'll have in the center of the page, trends for you, and then just under the little search bit, and then today's moments. This is all the stuff that people are talking about at the moment. So that's the popular hashtags right now. That's one thing that you can find them. The other way is to use a app or website called Hashtagify. So I'm going to write that down in the comments here. #Fi is a great tool to use. If you go onto that website, just type it into a search bar, you'll find it. Put any phrase into the search bar of that site, and it will pull up a whole mind map of all the other hashtags that are being used in conjunction with that phrase. So that will then be able to give you a whole host of other hashtags to try. So I hope that answers your question. Do let me know if you've got anything else. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, and that's the same for Instagram, by the way. That those hashtags are what's relevant on Instagram and Twitter. Cool. I think that's pretty much everything that I was going to go through today. So if I come across anything, or if I jog my memory, because I've completely left all my notes at home today, I will come back on live and go through some more stuff. But before I go, my main focus is youth mental health. Is it just worth putting a hashtag in front of each word I use associated with this topic? No. So the wrong thing to do would hashtag every single word. You just need to use 2 hashtags per tweet max. And that is Twitter's advice. And statistically, it's proven that more engagement with just 2 hashtags. So you want to try and get the hashtagged words within the tweet itself, or put them at the end. So you would, hashtag mental health or hashtag youth health would probably be one. But if you go to Hashtagify and just write in mental health or youth mental health, it will pull up a whole list of hashtags for you. So give that a try and let me know. Cool. I am going to dash off now. Oh, analytics. That was what I was going to say about the analytics on Snapchat. They've just rolled them out, which again, I was kind of touched upon Snapchat and the advertising earlier. But if you have large followings on the platform now, you will actually start to get a account and some analytics on your profile, which is pretty impressive, pretty exciting. So stuff like views, unique views, time spent watching, all its demographics. And if you're on Snapchat, I know people have moaned about the change in the design, but actually we've now got a profile section on Snapchat now, so actually people can find you, see what your what your followers and all that sort of stuff. So it's trying to blend into other channels. So actually for some people it's a bit easier to use, I'd say, and it's starting to have a much better interface, if you like. So select creators who are either part of Snapchat's official stories program or have large followers on the platform will start seeing a view count and demographic analytics on their Snapchat profile, which is cool, in order you to really report on the success of what you do. And free credits to brands advertising on other platforms. So Snapchat's reaching out to advertisers who are paying for vertical video ads on things like Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, and they're offering them free credits. So if you are a bigger business or agency and you're doing that, please have a go with Snapchat. Pinterest rolls out tools for organising pins, boards and sections. So Pinterest has introduced a series of new improvements to help pinners organise, rearrange and sort their pins. So users can now archive a Pinterest board once they've finished with it, reorder sections and pins within a board, and sort all of their boards alphabetically, which is going to be heaven for some of you. And then page insights on Facebook. Actually, that's a really good point. If you are predominantly using the Facebook app, Pages app, you'll probably have noticed before that the analytics were never available or they weren't displayed very well on your app. So people would get really frustrated with having to create content here on the go and then having to log onto their laptop in order to look at analytics. Well, now Facebook have improved the insights on your app. So if you go to the Pages app, you'll be able to, let's have a look, get it up here. Oh, that's Snapchat. So you'll now see at the bottom, under the second one in to the left, oh, that's the right there. That is your page insights. So you'll be able to access them, and you'll see what you see normally on your page. So it's a lot better interface and much more detail, which is great. Cool. And the list making feature on Facebook, they're pushing this. So you can now make lists similar to like you could on Twitter. And it's a new feature that allows users to create and share text, copy, etc. for friends and family. So that's a new feature. It's not yet broadly available. And 4 new tools have been announced for group admins and members. So admin tools that make finding group insights and managing memberships much easier. So admins of Facebook groups can post up to 10 announcements that will appear at the top of their page. They can have a dedicated rules section, which is great because before now you'd have to put in community guidelines within the description of the group. So having it as a separate area is great. And there's other ways that they're introducing in terms of making the search a lot easier, personalizing the colors, etc., etc. So I think that really accentuates their focus on community, which is great. And the downvote button for comment moderation. So I think I posted this privately to some of my clients before. But yeah, so I have a private Facebook group. Sorry, I should have explained that for anybody who has training with me. I shared this article a couple of weeks ago, but Facebook are now testing a downvote mechanism. So on the reactions, there's going to be a little down button. And that's what they're testing at the moment. So Facebook states that this feature, which appears to be similar to Reddit's community-controlled commenting system, is only intended to be a method for flagging questionable comments on public posts and gives users a way to share feedback on what comments ought to be considered offensive, misleading, or off-topic. I think this is a way to get, again, more engagement, and that's Facebook's focus this year, is about getting more engagement, and they are trying to get people to tell them what comments are working and aren't working. It's also a way to get rid of posts that perhaps aren't generating that engagement in the newsfeed. Cool. Okay, guys, so I've just noticed I'm coming up to 25 minutes live, and I only try and keep these for 20 minutes. Beth, thank you for joining and watching and asking these questions. I think it's really nice to just kind of open up and say, ask me anything, which I will keep doing in the future. Sorry it was a little less structured than it is usually. In case you just tuned in and you missed it, I'm in Bristol today, so I'd left my notes and stuff at home, and it's been a fairly quiet month on social media anyway, so it wasn't anything that I was absolutely rushing to let you guys know, but I will post the links to the few stories that I've discussed in the comments so you guys can catch up. Thanks so much for joining me. A few things before I go. Social media strategy workshop is in April. This is now a full day workshop. If you want to come along, please look at the event details on the Facebook page. And yeah, I think that's about it. We've got a tweet up in Trowbridge happening next month, and it's Social Media Week Bristol, so keep an eye out on my Twitter feed tomorrow, as I'll be tweeting lots and lots from the Small Business Social Media Summit. And finally, if you are in the Bath area on International Women's Day on the 8th of March, do have a look at the Female Founder Meetup event on my page, because I'm going to be hosting a meetup for female founders in conjunction with Facebook and Enterprise Nation as part of the She Means Business campaign. So I'd love to see you all there. Cool. Any questions, guys, give me a shout as always, and I'll speak to you very soon.